For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Hello everybody, Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. I guess I should say Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome to 2016. This is pretty cool, and I can absolutely assure you we are not pre-taped today, because I'm going to tell you all about how the drunk CNN hosts made fools of themselves last night and are nursing hangovers today. It's January 1st for everybody who's tuning in on Friday, our usual day of the week that we broadcast this, and I am not hungover. I was up first thing this morning. I had a great morning with my dogs outside because the weather is beautiful, and we're going to talk a lot about what is going on, because again, New Year's Eve, everybody gets crazy. Now it seems like CNN anchors do the same thing. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And that last week of December, what's with the guy drama in Hollywood? We've got Rob Kardashian's diabetes, Bill Cosby's $1 million bail, and, it's just, and Mark Salling's child porn arrest. So we're going to recap the drama from the guys, because last week on the show, when we recapped the entertainment news from 2015, all that stuff hadn't happened yet, and now here the guys go and upstage it, and they really brought it to the table, I must say. They really, really did. And it was very inconsiderate of them, considering entertainment reporters like myself want to have that week off. I was pulled into reporting so many of those stories. Would love to hear your New Year's Eve comments, or what happened with your New Year's Eve. Send me an email live at jbonair.com. That's my email address, live at jbonair.com. You can also tweet us at The Scribble Show, We're on Twitter, and would love to see the pictures, because, we got my dog. I don't know if we can retweet that from our Scribble Show account, but, Ernie and his top hat and noisemaker, he was pretty off the hook last night. So again, it is January 1st, 2016, for all of us listening here on Friday, and Happy New Year, everybody. The Scribble starts right now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Happy New Year to ya. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and SoundCloud and iTunes. How's your day going? Are you a little bit hungover? Are you slow going today? This Friday, January 1st, 2016. As I said at the top, I think those CNN anchors are. We'll talk about that in just a second. But what do you do for New Year's Eve? Are you like me and you just kind of hang out at home? I really don't do anything wild and crazy. I honestly don't. I have one or two drinks, fall asleep at about 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish, wake up at about 10:30 or 11, and then just sort of watch. I'm in the central time zone as well, so very rarely do we have a broadcast that is celebrating midnight our time, right? Everything is in New York, so we see Ryan Seacrest, and then we see Anderson Cooper's ball drop with Kathy Griffin, or his balls sort of, they go into hiding. I think they get very scared. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But anyway, so So I typically do stay home. I have a drink or two. And what's really fun is that because I know people in different time zones, I get calls almost every hour, right? It starts late afternoon, early evening with my friends over in Europe. And so it's really kind of a nice day to just check in with everybody and say hi and, just regroup after Christmas and the runaround and everything like that, right? So I've got this friend, Barry, who used to live one time zone away. He was an hour later, Eastern time zone. And he would call at 11 o'clock Central, my time. And it was New Year's for him. And he was typically several drinks in, let's say. And he would always wish me Happy New Year. Well, now he lives 2 time zones away. And he still gets the time wrong. And I'm not sure if that's just a directional thing or if it's an alcohol thing, if you know what I mean. And so for the past few years, I wait for 11 o'clock because he still calls at the wrong time and then says every year that, I don't think it's midnight for you yet. Well, no, it's not. And I'm grateful for the thought. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing him whatsoever. But I do get a laugh because he's usually off. I live vicariously through my friends. And I think maybe what I should do this year now, 2016 on New Year's Eve, is just do a live broadcast for like 12 hours. I will have people from each of those time zones call in for that 1 hour until the next time zone hits midnight and just talk with people and hear what they're doing because it's really funny. Now, if you watched CNN and I don't even know what was going on there last night. First of all, Richard Quest, he's a little bit over the top all the time. He was on the beach in Rio, and I think he was scaring people. He's very intense. And I think people were deathly afraid of him last night. But Anderson Cooper and Kathy Griffin take the stage, and apparently it's never rehearsed, it's never planned. They kind of just do the show. It's like you pull the cord and you watch the doll, and you never know what's going to happen. And so last year, meaning I guess 2014 going into 15, she painted his head red and blue. And this year, or 2015, she gave him a spray tan. He covered his eyes with spoons. But it's just really funny because there's a lot of, well, she says, I believe, sexual tension, and she thinks that everybody's out to get her, and Anderson's always embarrassed because he's Mr. Newsman and prim and proper. And it's just really funny. But this year, when they were cutting to all of their different reporters out in the field, Randy Kay, who's, I guess, known to have several drinks on New Year's Eve and get a little bit off the hook, and then Don Lemon. I've got to say, I enjoy Don Lemon, but as much as, and he kind of pulled the whole, like, typical drunk thing where it's like, oh, I'm not drunk. Oh, it's just an act. I'm not drunk. He was quite rude to people out in the field. And, somebody would talk to him and then he'd say, okay, no, I need somebody interesting. All right, let me find me somebody interesting. I'm going to find somebody more interesting. And you're kind of sitting there going, wow, is he going to get bitch slapped in the face? And so it's just really funny. Now, of course, obviously the bosses know that it's New Year's Eve and people drink or, whatever it is. But he was actually kind of rude to people out on the street. And I'm worried because, as people revel in the new year, they have some drinks, that things might tend to get violent. So I was legitimately concerned for his safety last night. And then to read his tweets this morning, he's not commenting if he has a hangover or not. So I think that we just answered that question with his no comment. But definitely it's interesting to watch all of the New Year's festivities from across the world and then just kind of see what rowdiness Kathy Griffin and Anderson Cooper get up to, because she's up on their platform and giving Ryan Seacrest the finger and trying to get his attention. And she came out also almost naked. She was walking the streets in her bra. So definitely, she talks every year that she gets fired, which I think is kind of funny because they end up having her back every year. So it's like, what is the risk worth the reward? The ratings seem to go up every year. I'm not really sure at this point of Friday morning, New Year's Day. Ratings aren't necessarily being reported, but definitely it seems like a lot of people are tuning in. And they scroll all your tweets at the bottom of the screen, which is funny because you'd think that there's, millions of people watching and they just keep showing the same tweets over and over again. But I do love when people misspell their tweets. I do enjoy that. Somebody was exited for the new year, not excited. They were exited for the new year. And, it's right fun. And now that New Year's Eve is interactive, because it's not like you're just watching on TV anymore and you're living far away. You're still living far away and you are still just interacting with the TV. But now there's that element of viewership interaction. So we'd love to hear from you. Speaking of interaction, live@jbonair.com is the email address, live@jbonair.com. And I think that we're going to retweet some of my pictures that I had tweeted on New Year's Eve from @The Scribble Show. So check that out, @The Scribble Show. And we have that let's say, a continuation of our entertainment recap of 2015 because of all those dramatic stories with the guys, as I mentioned at the top of the show. We're going to get into that right after this.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now. And in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just one day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-478-9568 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-478-9568. That's 800-478-9568.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Happy New Year, everybody. And so I mentioned that we're going to recap those 2015 stories, all the drama with the guys, but I guess our first big story of 2016 is that Natalie Cole, singer Natalie Cole, has passed away. And you might recall that she did that duet with Dad Nat King Cole, and she had gone through substance abuse problems, and she'd also had a hepatitis C. Now it's being reported that she passed away. She was 65 years old. She passed away. Now, do we know if it was New Year's Eve? Do we know that for sure? All right, we're going to look into that. But yeah, just a developing story then this morning on a New Year's Day that Natalie Cole, legendary singer, has passed away. So, recapping 2015, although if this did happen in 2015, and this is part of the recap now, lots of drama with the guys, okay? I don't even know where to begin. Let's start with Mark Salling, former Glee star, getting arrested for child porn. That's probably the biggest of these stories because, wow, didn't see that coming. Now, he previously dated, Playboy model, I believe, or she was Victoria's Secret, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, she was a very, very sultry, sexy model. And, he could have any pic of his cougars, I'm sure. But instead, he's got thousands of images of children on his devices, computer, tablet, phone, what have you. Police, I guess, kicked in the door of his California home and took all of his electronics and found that he had over thousands of images of kids as young as 10 years old. So Mark Salling, this cool MILF hunter, is now a child predator. Now, this is where the discussion happens. I was reading a story on Yahoo News, always the most reliable source when it comes to their spelling and mistakes all the time, that because you possess child pornography, are you a pedophile? Does that mean because you like seeing images of things like that you are ultimately at, risk of harming children? Okay? Now, the story was saying that there's experts that say not necessarily, and then there's some experts that say, yes, that's the next step, right? So I don't really know what to think of that. If you have a sexual attraction to kids of that age, what is stopping you from acting on those impulses? Now, again, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that, yes, people do think or feel that way or react that way or anything like that. I'm just putting it out there as a question for discussion. Do you think that he is now a pedophile because he has possessed child pornography? And in all honesty, I had never really thought about that. Of course, we saw Jared Fogle, the Subway spokespervert, last year with that arrest. And, originally it was just child porn, but then we come to find out as the investigation continues that he, in fact, was a predator to children and was attracted to them and did get together with them and sometimes pay for sex or whatever it was. So it's yet to be seen if Mark Salling did have sexual relationships with children or sexual encounters or interactions with them. But, does that make you a pedophile? Just because you have, let's say even just if you have porn on your computer, right? Some people think that that's perverted or gross. Does that mean that you then go and make porn for a living, right? Does that mean that it's a hobby of yours to be an exhibitionist, whatever? I don't really know. Would love to hear your thoughts. Chime in live at jbonair.com is my email address, live at jbonair.com. Tweet us up at The Scribble Show. That's at The Scribble Show. Mark Salling. Wow. It's interesting. He's an out-of-work actor, although he was just in a movie, but producers are thinking that they might just cut him from the film because of this. So not that he had a starring role, but he definitely had a part in this feature film that producers are thinking, is it worth keeping him in here because this could be trouble. Now, keeping in mind, though, that an actor is still an actor, a singer is still a singer. Whether they have skeletons in their closet from the past or whatever it is, he's still an actor, right? So do you really need to necessarily change your movie depending on what his role is and how pivotal of a part he played? Do you rework a movie just because of that? I understand, like, Fast and Furious, right? One of your stars has died in a Fast and Furious crash, so you might tweak your storyline or the starring role for something like that. But, one of your actors is arrested for child porn, I don't know. Is that overreacting? All right, so then in other sexual pervert or deviant news, we've got Bill Cosby, who stumbled his way into court to face charges of sexual assault. He was released bail was $1 million. It's funny because I watch MSNBC's Lockup, and actually they had a marathon on New Year's Eve, and I watched a couple of episodes last night and then this morning. And, some people's bail is $750, and even then, they can't come up with the money to pay that. And then you've got Cosby, it's $1 million. What is that, right? It's just a couple lawsuit settlements, and then he's good. But Bill Cosby now answering to all these charges. Now, the statute of limitations for some of these assault allegations has passed, so he can't necessarily be charged with a lot of those. But they did find one that he could potentially spend some time behind bars. Maybe he'll meet up with Mark Salling or Jared Fogle from Subway. So who knows? So, just when Cosby was thinking, hey, 2015 is going to come to an end and let's start all new with 2016, a couple days before New Year's, he's hauled into the courtroom and is answering before the judge. So poor Bill Cosby. And although I don't know about using the word poor because... did he use his celebrity status in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to kind of have his way with women? That seems to be what it sounds like. But again, these are all allegations. When they're proven in court, that's something completely different. So Bill Cosby definitely had a very interesting 2015. Though, if I'm not mistaken, this has been dragging out for quite some time. So let's see what's in the cards for him in 2016. Now, Rob Kardashian and his diabetes. We're going to talk about that right after this break. More on the Scribble with Jeremy Bradley. Happy New Year, everybody.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Welcome back to The Scribble. Jeremy Bradley here. Thanks for tuning in on SoundCloud and iTunes and at thescribbleshow.com, recapping those big stories of 2015. So Rob Kardashian, diagnosed with diabetes. Now, of course that's a serious condition. I'm not making fun of diabetes at all, but I am making fun of the Kardashian family because just last week on this show, we talked about all of their big stories. So we had Kris Jenner, we had Bruce now Caitlyn Jenner, we had Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom, we had Kim and Kanye and the baby, and then we had Kourtney Kardashian and the split from Scott, and then hooking up with Bieber, and then we had nothing. We had nothing from Rob Kardashian, and then all of a sudden we hear that he's rushed to hospital with diabetes, and he wants to stay out of the spotlight now because he's ballooned up, and he's obviously not living the healthiest lifestyle, and now it's coming back to haunt him. So Rob Kardashian, who is the sort of the black sheep now because he doesn't want the stardom and all eyes on him. He's gained some weight and said that this all stemmed from a bad breakup. That was a couple years ago. And he's just been making poor choices in terms of eating and exercise and all that stuff. So he's caused some drama at Kim's wedding where he refused to be photographed with the family. And now he was hospitalized and now he's resting at home. So Kris Jenner with her boy toy, Corey Gamble, who's I think only about 5 years older than Rob, I should say. They were vacationing in the Bahamas, and she came back to be with him, and it's one thing after the other. So the joke that I made, not about diabetes, but just in general, was that we had no Kardashian or Jenner news that week or, a few days before that. So is this a publicity stunt? Did he get diabetes just to have some screen time? And of course, that's a joke, and that's not serious. But I don't know that the Kardashians take themselves too seriously anyway. So that is sort of one thing to think of, right? It's better than lopping off his dong and becoming a girl like Bruce did. No. See, that's the thing. Don't even send your hate mail, because this is all... If people are too overly sensitive and easily offended, then really you should live in a box and not see the light of day. And I truly believe that. Not that I try to be a comedian, not that I think that I'm the funniest person in the world. I'm sarcastic, because if we go through life way too seriously, it's not fun. It's not fun, honestly. You've gotta have a laugh and see the light of things, and why not? I'm the first person to try to make jokes at funerals and things like that, because why have such a sad memory of things, right? You want to find the positive and have a smile on your face. That's the way I look at it. Maybe that should be your New Year's resolution for this 2016 year ahead of us, everybody. Try not to be so uptight. Seriously, make a joke every now and then. Don't be so easily offended. And it's interesting to think that back in the 70s, comedy on television was way more controversial and colorful than it is now, because with our soapboxes that everybody has, thanks to social media and the different platforms that you can have your opinion and have millions of people see it, you'd think that we'd sort of be open to all different kinds of ideas and be used to hearing the ridiculous by now, but that's certainly not the case. Everything makes people on edge. Now, this could be blamed partially on the terrorism and all the serious things that are happening in the world, but I don't know that that's necessarily the right way to look at things either, right? I mean, why go into it so pessimistically and so negatively that there's always something wrong, or this is offensive and I don't like this and it can't be that way? Have a laugh. Seriously, take the stick out of your ass and just enjoy a laugh every now and then. Have a laugh. Dennis Leary used to turn heads when he would make jokes about cancer, right? That was kind of controversial and risque now. Well, okay, cancer is cancer. We get it. Everybody is affected by it, whether you have it, your relative or your loved one has it, or your friend has it. Find the light in things. Find some humor. Make yourself smile. Make other people smile. There we go. I'm on my soapbox right now. This is the Scribble. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, you know what? Remember to check out all of the celebrity interviews that we've had on Top of the Charts and the Open Road. It was a very big 2015. Just looking back at some of the things that we did for radio, I emceed a music festival in Dawson City, Yukon, which we also featured here on the podcast. And we also showcased my hometown of Winnipeg, Manitoba. We brought a contest winner. I have to tell you, this is the funniest thing. Normally, we go somewhere for our spring break, summer vacation, and Christmas shows. For Christmas, we were just in Quebec City. We did that a couple of weeks ago. But we brought a contest winner to my hometown of Winnipeg, and we thought this would be kind of cool because I never really talk about the city, and I'm in the newspaper every week with my column, and I have a presence in the city. But we decided to mix it up and bring somebody from the West Coast, from Vancouver Island, actually, won a contest that we had on the radio. And we flew him to Winnipeg, and he came and spent about 4 or 5 days, and the weather was horrible. It was May long weekend, so that's usually the weekend that everybody is starting to get out to the cottage and, enjoying summer, sort of, for the first time. So the weather was terrible. There was freezing rain and ice pellet warnings, and the weather was just god-awful. We had an appointment at the zoo. Sorry, there's just a piece of dust that flew and it distracted me. I'm off to a good start for this 2016. We had an appointment at the zoo. We were doing an interview. We took him to the zoo to check out all the animals. There's this new big polar bear enclosure. And the weather that morning was pissing down rain. We're talking sheets of rain. And the wind was so strong that the rain was coming at you. And it was not straight down. It was at an angle, hitting you in the face, getting you right in the eyes. And we had this obligation to be there. We didn't cancel the interview. We didn't cancel what we were doing. So we were inside talking to the woman about doing the interview at first. And then she's like, "Are you sure you want to go?" There were 11 cars in the parking lot. I'm not kidding you. And most of them, I think, were probably staff. We were one of... Now that I think about it, when we're walking through the zoo, going to all these different enclosures, there was nobody. There were a few people in this polar bear enclosure, but it was indoors. Nobody was outside at all walking through the zoo. We were the only ones there. And I felt so bad because I don't know that we prepared him to bring winter clothing, first off, so maybe that was our fault, because in May, you're not expecting that. And 2, when you're from Vancouver Island, which has beautiful weather all the time, although you are used to rain, now that I think about it, that was his fault. But anyway, so when we left there after, we were there for maybe 2 hours, we were just soaking wet, and it was just a horrible time. And again, like I said earlier, I had a laugh about it. I don't know what he thought of it. Maybe he was just trying to put on a happy face, but I thought it was quite funny and quite ridiculous at the same time. So again, speakfreecelebwatch.com is where you can check out all of those celebrity guests that we had on Top of the Charts and the Open Road. And in all honesty, it was really cool because we had Kenny Rogers on the show, and we did that live here on the podcast as well. He had Kenny Rogers' dressing room at Club Regent Casino in Winnipeg, and we've got those pictures as well. So speakfreecelebwatch.com, and the different websites, it would be peg.jbonair.com for the Winnipeg broadcast, peg.jbonair.com, and then quebec.jbonair.com, and then, what was the other one? Oh, Dawson, DAWSON.jbonair.com when I was hosting that music festival in Dawson City, Yukon. One more break. We're back right after this.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
That's right, Larson, at The Scribble Show on Twitter, at The Scribble Show. Jeremy Bradley here at the controls. Just a few more minutes before we wrap things up. Just a quick statement about Natalie Cole's death. TMZ reporting that a rep issued a statement to TMZ saying, "It is with heavy hearts that we bring to you all the news of our mother and sister's passing. Natalie fought a fierce, courageous battle, dying how she lived with dignity, strength, and honor. Our beloved mother and sister will be greatly missed and remain unforgettable in our hearts forever." Unforgettable, of course, that famous song. Natalie Cole was 65 years old, just passed away from, let me just look here, although we're told the underlying medical issues were complications from a kidney transplant and hepatitis C. Died from congestive heart failure. There we go. That's the cause of death, according to TMZ's reports on this January 1st. Not many people broadcasting live on New Year's Day, but we are, because JB has no life and was not out partying and getting wild and crazy yesterday. So here's something that I think is really cool. I like to look back at the year and have a smile at the success that I had. People go into a new year going, it's going to be new, it's going to be different, it's going to be changed, it's going to be better, it's going to be whatever. And for me, I like to take a moment and, scroll through the pictures on my phone from 2015 and take a look at what I accomplished in my career, the fun that I had, and all that kind of stuff. It's forward thinking, but taking a step back first, right? People say you can't live in the past, you've got to live in the moment and look forward and see the future. But I like to, maybe it's just because I was an entrepreneur years ago and took great pride in my success and didn't really have very many people who were celebrating my success for or with me. And so I like to do that. I like to get my phone out, scroll through the pictures, I get my external hard drive and just take a look at the different events. In the last segment I mentioned some of those places that we've gone to for the radio shows and just take a look, because when I'm in that zone, when I'm hosting the show or I'm going from place to place and getting all of the logistics in order for what we're about to do, I'm not exactly experiencing the moment and appreciating it for what it is. I've learned that very quickly, that, I go to Hollywood for these red carpet events, but I'm so focused on the show that we're doing and the task at hand, I'm not seeing the world around. I've just got that tunnel vision as to what's happening right there in that moment. So definitely it's a reflection on, what I've accomplished in the year and what I've done. And I'm sort of getting a mixed bag of reaction from people. Some people are saying that that's great or that's a good idea. Oh yeah, I should do that, or I do that as well. But then others who just kind of find it weird. It's like, that's how you spend your New Year's Eve, that you're doing that. At the same time, I don't really understand what the celebration is. We sort of just flip the calendar into a new year. And it's all going to be the same crap all over again, right? Terrorism isn't going to stop. The political race, Trump isn't all of a sudden going to be best friends with Hillary Clinton. We know that some of those things, it's going to continue this year. So really, is it that much of a change? Is there really anything different from 2015 to 2016? You're going to make those New Year's resolutions the same that we hear every year. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to work out more. I'm going to be, more generous and charitable with my money. Are you really, though? You will for maybe that first week. Hey, you know what? I'm going to hit the treadmill right after we do this show. But I do it every other day or every second or third day anyway. So for me, I don't say that I'm going to do it. I just know that it's not going to happen. Like, if I set something out like that, I'm going to set myself up for disappointment and feel like a failure if I don't accomplish it. So that's why I don't do any of those things. There are changes that I want to make in my life, and yes, I should be able to do those at any time and not use the calendar as an excuse to then use that as motivation to make changes with how I am and the way I live. I don't know. Again, would love to hear your thoughts. Send me an email live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, And we can also tweet us on at The Scribble Show on Twitter, at The Scribble Show. So here's to a great 2016. After I go on that rambling rant about it's not going to be different, it's going to be the same, I just want you to have an open mind and be positive this year, right? And have a laugh, like I said earlier. That's what you need to get through life. So my name is Jeremy Bradley. This is Speak Free Media and The Scribble Podcast. I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Again, thanks to everybody who has subscribed and chimed in on our little debates and discussions that we have. This is episode 45 of The Scribble. I will talk to you next week. Once again, Happy New Year, everybody, and go nurse that hangover today on this January 1st, 2016. Happy New Year. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free Media presentation.
If you want some real heat,